Welcome to Love, Life, Cancer. I'm Joe.
And I'm Shannon.
This is our story of falling in love, starting our life together,
And navigating cancer.
It's going to be a wild ride.
So pop on your seatbelt and welcome to our sofa.
Okay, welcome back to episode 3, guys. Apologies, it's been a few weeks since we last uploaded, but Shannon's not been feeling too great, have you?
No.
So we actually went to a wedding weekend before last, and it completely wiped you out, didn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it took 3 days for me to surface from bed.
Yeah.
And that's 3 days of no food, no drink, anything, because I just physically couldn't either wake up or move.
Yeah.
So that was fun.
I think I got you downstairs. So we went to the wedding on the Saturday. Now, in all fairness, as far as the wedding's concerned, I mean, we did only stay, 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah.
Had kids with us. They had an absolute whale of a time. We had to drag Harriet off the dance floor.
And me.
And you, for that matter. I could tell you were hurting probably a good hour and a half, 2 hours.
The last song was Men by Number 5, and that's family classic. It is tradition to complete our childhood dance to it. So the fact that I was about to leave and then that came on,
So yeah, it even got
not my fault.
It even got to the point where, as we were leaving, or as I was trying to get us to leave, we were walking across the dance floor. You said bye to the bride and groom, and that song came on, and I literally turned to you and said, "That's fine. I'll be in the car." Because at that point, I've been trying to get you out for nearly an hour.
And the second that it finished, trust me, I was also out that door. Love you, buys. See you later. I can barely function.
Yeah.
But I functioned enough at my number 5, and that's all that matters.
Yeah. So so we were, or shall I say, you were completely out of action. Pain meds through the roof. Exhaustion, fatigue, and this is something that a lot of people don't think about when they see someone going through cancer and going through treatment, because they go, well, you're out of remission, you finished chemo, you're all better now. You're all good.
If anything, I'm more tired now. I'm more exhausted now than I was when I was actually having treatment. I was out during treatment. We'd go out a night out, and I'd be absolutely fine the next day.
Yeah.
Albeit tired, but nothing compared to how it is now.
Yeah. But I mean, that's obviously got to do with a lot of side effects from the chemo, and
poison in your body, getting you better, which is ironic.
So yeah, I mean, it's been hard, but it is what it is. So yeah, just wanted to apologise that there's been no episode for the last few weeks, but yeah, I mean, I've actually taken a step back from work now as well, so I'm going to be home a little bit more. So we are going to aim to try and get a couple of episodes in the bank so that we can release one, even if Shannon is having a bad week. So
maybe I can eat in those days.
Yeah, maybe.
You'll be here to make me food.
Yes, yeah, exactly that. So yeah, picking back up where we left in episode 2. So we had just come out of our appointment with our consultant and our Macmillan nurse, and yeah, we were then basically told we're going to run some additional tests and things like that, but we'll see you in a couple of days. And we were then walking back to the car, and it was very much holy shit, you have cancer.
Holy shit, you've got cancer, let's go to the Harvester.
Yes, we did. We went to the Harvester and had some lunch.
Yeah.
We didn't know if we were celebrating or just trying to...
we were celebrating the fact that we actually found out what was happening.
Yes.
It took so long to get answers. We were kind of celebrating the fact that we'd found out what it was, but also, how do you say that you were celebrating the fact that, I found out you had cancer? That wasn't how it was at all.
No.
It was a bit of a relief to know what it was. Didn't mean that we weren't shit scared.
No. And I think, like you said, the celebration was more a case of we knew what we were dealing with then.
Yeah, and we knew what we were facing.
Yeah, we knew what we were facing. We knew what the next...
No ifs, no buts. This is what you have. You have stage 3 Hodgkin's lymphoma.
Yeah.
Thank you for letting me know.
Yeah. So we had a plan of action. We knew what was to come. We knew what the next couple of months were going to look like. Yeah. And I think in a weird kind of way, that was a bit of a relief that we finally had some answers, wasn't it?
And like we said before, because we found out on that Friday by accident, albeit the wrong cancer, like we said, we had that weekend to get a bit clear-headed, and by that appointment we were a bit more clear-headed, hence why I probably could go for lunch afterwards. And things may be different if we hadn't found out the way that we did.
Yeah.
But I'm just grateful that we had somebody to sit us down, tell us exactly what it was and how it would be treated. And what the next few months would look like. Like I said last time, not in major detail. You don't need to know the details. You don't need to know what ABVD stands for, which is the kind of chemo. You haven't got to understand what medicines you have to take before and after and during. None of that. That comes later, which I was quite thankful for that. I don't think my brain could take any more that day.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, we went for some lunch. Went home. We had a big cry and we had a big chat. And, you know,
Happened most days, to be fair, didn't it?
It did. But we actually sat on the information for a good couple of days, didn't we? Because we didn't really know how to have that conversation with people.
How do you tell your parents?
Yeah.
Oh, I was thinking I told Dan. Like, how do you tell your nan that you have cancer? It's hard. Sue took us days to even think about how to do that.
Yeah. And, you know...
But I didn't want me crying when I told her.
No, you didn't. And you needed that time to process and get your head around it and understand it a bit more before you could have those conversations. So that's exactly what we did. And, you know, some people might feel like that's selfish, that, you know, you're not telling your friends and family. But, you know, at the end of the day, it was our information to tell, and we wanted to be ready to tell it when we were ready to tell it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the first couple of days passed, and we went and told your parents first, didn't we? And I remember, I mean, obviously they already knew what was going on, and, you know, they knew...
A huge shock, but
yeah,
it is. You were your daughter's got cancer.
Yeah, they knew that that's what we were leaning towards, that there was a strong possibility that's what it was going to be. But until you get that confirmation, I don't think even
it's real.
Yeah, it was real.
I don't think now it's real to any of us, but
no. I mean, you know, I don't mean to laugh, but we still sit there. There's days that we sit there and look at each other and go, holy fuck, you had cancer. We still, even ourselves, you know, we went through it, and we've been going through it for years now. And even us, we sit here and go,
that happened.
So, you know, so we went round and spoke to your parents, and obviously they had a lot of questions, which in a sense is also why we were very glad that we took those couple of days to get our head around things so that
we could have the answers.
Yeah.
And we were able to give the answers without the cloudiness of trying to process it ourselves in that moment. You know, we'd already sort of thought about it. We thought about the questions they might ask. You also get a booklet when you get diagnosed. You get a cancer research booklet and a lymphoma action booklet where you can, as your couple, you can read it, you can go through things, and it answers so many questions that you didn't even know you had questions too. You know, so going to our parents and saying, yeah, we know the answer to that. Oh yeah, read about that. And you can sort of, and then also I remember ordering extra books, didn't I?
Yeah, you did, yeah.
And you can order them online for free. And I gave them out to my mum and dad, to your parents, and then I kept one at home, didn't I, for anyone who I had told who had questions that I probably couldn't answer in the moment. So that was a really, really handy tool. That was from the Lymphoma Action website.
Yes.
No one wanted to know.
Yeah. So like Shannon said, Lymphoma Action, you can order those booklets. They came through in a couple of days, didn't they? So, you know, it was pretty quick. And obviously there's similar websites to you know, for other types of cancer as well. So obviously if you're going through something that's a little bit different, or your family are, then, you know, you can put them in the direction of these booklets, and it has a full explanation of what it is.
It's a big old booklet.
Yeah.
A booklet is a book.
Yeah, it is. So, you know, again, speak to your Macmillan nurse. I'm sure they'll be able to point you in the right direction as to how to access those kind of things. But yeah, I mean, we went round, we spoke to your parents, very emotional, a lot of tears, a lot of questions, and obviously we did our best to answer them. But, you know, we sort of said, we're not sure what things, you know, when things are going to happen, how things are going to react, you know, how the treatment's going to affect you. And those were all things that us...
the questions that we couldn't answer.
And, you know, those were the kind of things that us and our friends and family had to sort of figure out as and when they came up. So that was that. We then actually went straight to my parents to have the same conversation with them. You know, we were ready in our heads, and we were like, right, it needs to be one after another. Everyone needs to know what's going on. Again, my parents were absolutely devastated for us, you know, and all of that. And then we went around and seen Nanny, which, as we've spoken about before, Nanny is the most important person in the world to Shannon, and I've accepted that I'm coming second. But yeah, we went round, we had a conversation with her, I think if I remember correctly, your dad had sort of given her a little heads up, hadn't he?
Yeah.
So he'd given her a bit of a heads up to let her know that, you know, it wasn't, you know, good news, but, you know, that you were going to come around and talk to her when you were ready, kind of thing. So again, even though that was a very difficult conversation to have, yeah, it was. And, you know, we got through it.
Yeah.
And then as far as friends and you know, other people, we had those
Sometimes I just text them because I was just so done with the face-to-face stuff. I just went, oh, by the way, they found out it was cancer. We're just going to, you know, see what happens in the next couple of weeks and, you know, maybe start chemo. And the friends that cared asked questions and those that didn't. And it turns out those are the friends that I lost. So...
And I was actually just going to say, you know, as far as friends are concerned, you know, we very much, for both of us really, we very much found out who our true friends were. And, you know, there's several people on both sides of this sofa that we don't speak to various people anymore because, you know, and I've always said the same, I honestly feel like it was not something that they could handle. And, you know, we're talking some of Shannon's closest, longest friendships that you've lost throughout all of this. And, you know, this is the thing that a lot of people don't think about is not just what
people would come around you and want to be there for you, and most do, but it's the biggest shock of your life when the ones that you thought would don't. Yeah.
And obviously that was devastating, and and we've had to deal with that as and when we've had to. But, you know, these are the things that a lot of people don't consider when someone's going through this type of treatment, you know. And the one thing that really got us, and again, I try to rationalize it by saying, well, you know, people maybe aren't reaching out because they don't know what to say, or they don't know how to handle it, and maybe they're thinking, oh, well, you know, I don't want to bother them and things like that. But at the end of the day, if you've got a friend or a family member that's going through something like this, even just dropping them a message to say, thinking of you, hope you're okay, let me know if you need anything, it goes a long way, doesn't it? Yeah. So yeah, I mean, that was difficult. But then as far as obviously the next steps, we had to make plans for what was coming up over the next couple of weeks. So in the first interim, we had an appointment a few days after the initial one, where we discussed IVF treatment.
Oh.
Because naturally, with Shannon's age and everything else, they were...
And also, you've got to think about it. Sorry to cut you off. Sorry to think about it. We were in a pretty fresh relationship.
Yeah.
So...
We you know, we've got our two children, my children, your stepchildren, but they are our children. And, you know, we love them dearly. And we have obviously made the decision since then that we wouldn't be looking to have any of our own. But at that time, like you said, we were still very fresh into our relationship.
What we wanted.
Yeah.
All we knew that we loved them. We were going to get married one day, hopefully the following year. But as far as it comes to children, you know, they ask you the question, when we retrieved your eggs, do you want them fertilized? By him. And my brain instantly went, well, yeah, of course. But then Joe asked the question, he went, you don't have to.
Yeah.
No, just in case something was to happen, the only eggs that you would have would be mine. Be fertilized by you.
Yeah. And
that wasn't even a question in my mind, but the whole fertility treatment journey was crazy, because one minute you'll be referred to them and you're going to speak to somebody as a 27-year-old girl, because I wasn't a woman, I was a girl who had no idea what she wanted in her future and didn't know what it looked like, or even if she had one. And you're being asked about all these questions about, you know, periods, and, you know, you've got to be asking when your last period was, how long it was, you know, sexual partners, and you get asked every question under the sun. And I get why completely, but on top of everything else going on, you just feel a bit more violated.
Yeah.
Especially when they insert a absolute giant thing.
Yeah, I was going to come on to that.
That's a violation in itself.
So obviously the process was essentially, just to give everyone a bit of background, obviously women of a certain age that are obviously going through chemotherapy, it can affect fertility.
Yeah, they can.
Which is obviously why.
Might not.
Yeah.
But they,
But they think. So there is actually funding available for IVF, freezing eggs, all of that kind of stuff. And obviously when we spoke to the Macmillan team, again, our fantastic Macmillan nurse that we had, and we obviously said at the time, we don't know what the future's going to look like, but we want that option.
He wouldn't.
Yeah. So we were actually referred to a private clinic near where we live.
Opposite the hospital.
Opposite the hospital, yeah. So we were referred to a private clinic, and we got the appointment through pretty quickly. I think we've gone within 2 or 3 days, and like Shannon said, we had to fill out questionnaires. There was consultation and everything else. Now, when Shannon says,
I got told, no, I got told you had an examination.
Yes.
Okay. I did not realise it was an internal examination where this thing was,
I would say, just looking at this camera stand, we're probably talking, it was probably a good 12 inches. And I would say a little bit chunkier than that.
No, I don't want to. No, okay. So that happened.
Yeah.
With Joe in the room, I was holding his hand, looking to his eyes for help, because something like that, digging around left, right, and centre, looking at all your bits and bobs, was not comfortable. So after that was just a running joke. And I remember taking a picture of the thing before it went in.
Yeah.
And sending it to people going, I've just been violated with this. This was not on my bingo card for today.
Yeah.
And and that's when they sort of found out that I had 8 follicles. A woman of 27 to 30 have around 22. So I was already running quite low. Which is not a surprise, because my mum also had quite a few issues with getting pregnant for the same reasons, so it didn't surprise me.
No.
But also it just made that journey a little bit extra harder, because dealing with 8 to 22 is a big difference. So yeah, they said to us, well, you'll have a box delivered to your house in the next couple of days with all the stuff that you need to inject yourself ready for fertility treatment.
Mm-hmm. So the initial plan was obviously we got the diagnosis on the 25th of September. Yeah. You were due to have your PICC line fitted on the 1st of November, with your chemo to start a few days after. And the reason that it was delayed is they did actually say usually for this kind of situation they would be looking to start chemo pretty much immediately.
Yeah.
But obviously with the fertility treatment, that would obviously delay things. So that was why we had sort of like that 6-week window. So the idea being is we started the fertility treatment, and then obviously they would then harvest the eggs to fertilize and freeze, a couple of days.
And
before.
those dates were just before chemo, weren't they?
Yes.
So slim, so close.
They literally said we will give you every waking minute that we possibly can, and whip them out at the very last moment before you need to start chemo. So obviously, the box arrived. We had the injections, the needles, the fluids, and I mean,
wasn't it the blood test that held us back? We had to have a blood test, and I had to have a blood test, and sending it off and getting the results. Bear in mind, it was across the road from the hospital. Took quite some time, which put even more of a rush on.
Yeah, so you were delayed. So there was even talk of them pushing the chemo back, and this and that. But obviously, whilst all this was going on, this box arrived, and we started the fertility treatment. Yeah. And whilst all of this was happening, you then had a lot of other sort of tests and follow-up things preparing you for chemo. So
it was a lot.
Yeah, you had various blood tests. I mean, I feel like I was taking you to the hospital pretty much daily for different blood tests. You had to do fasting ones and all sorts.
One time they called me in when you were at work and you couldn't take me, and I just went in for a blood test. I remember that time that I went in, and it was the first time that I was going to name drop this person. It's Vina.
Vina. We love Vina.
The first time I met Vina, and she put me, it's basically, I was getting some blood tests and I was so tired, and they said, yep, we just need to wait for them. And I said, what do you mean wait for them? Can't I go home? No. I can't tell you how tired I was and how exhausted I was and how, again, poorly I was. And I just started crying in absolute fits of just want to go home. Let me go home. I want to go home. And they said, look, just wait a few hours. And I was like, hours? No, I don't want to wait hours. Like, that's just too much. I'm too tired. And I was in a fit. And anyone who knows me is I'm not a hugger. I will hug you if I want to. If someone hugs me, not a fan. I'd bat you away pretty quick. And at this point, I was really, really not a hugger. I'm better now. I really am. But Vina just hugged me. And at first, I was like, oh, someone's touched me without my consent. But then, quite quickly, it was the most heartwarming, kindest hug that I think I've ever received. It was something special, and she didn't let go. Mm-hmm. And then once I calmed down, she said to me, come with me. And she put me in this little side room, in a little chair, and she reclined it. She gave me a pillow, popped a blanket on me, and went, go for a nap. And I did. And I woke up feeling a lot better. And to this day, the only person in that whole hematology department that I let hug me for a very long time is Vina. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Every time I go in there, she always comes straight over, arms open. And every time I go in there, it's just what I need.
Yeah. I mean, funnily enough, we were in hematology for something this week, weren't we? Monday, Tuesday. And Vina clocked you as you were walking out, and I swear to God, I think you guys hugged for probably a good minute and a half, and that's not even an exaggeration. And I was stood talking to one of the Macmillan nurses, and I actually said to her, I said, she's the only person that she'll let hug her.
Yeah. It's special. It really is special. Yeah. And I remember that happening, and it was the one time I wasn't with you. Mm-hmm. But in that time, I had to do lung function tests. I had to do antibiotic treatment, but because I'm allergic to the one they give you orally, I had to inhale it for over a certain period of time on my own because no one could be in the room whilst I did that.
So ironically enough, the room in question, which was the nap room, it was so it's a dedicated room they have in haematology. They have a special machine in there, and the idea is obviously when they need to do these antibiotics, they fill the room up, and you have sort of like tubes and various other bits, and they lock the room to basically.
And no one can go in it afterwards for I think it's like an hour or two.
Yeah.
So they gave me that room.
Yeah.
It was clean. She gave me that room to nap in. Vina has the biggest heart, and she would always have a massive place in ours.
Definitely. But yeah, I mean, like you said, you had the antibiotics, you had to do lung function. That was a fun one.
Hold your breath, breathe out as hard as you can without laughing. With a nose clip on your nose, when you put on the spiky bogies that really hurt. That wasn't the best. That really hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you sat next to me recording me.
Oh, I did. Yes. Yeah. I did.
Like usual, because when does he not record me when I'm in, one positions at hospital? Yeah, that was one of them. Like I said, blood tests over and over and over again.
Like I said, MRIs, you had CTs, you had various other bits, and the idea behind all of these pre-tests is they do it before it's before the cancer treatment starts, the chemotherapy starts, because it gives them the baseline of
chemo fucks your body, and they need to know where you're at before, during, and after.
Yeah. So you would have so you had all these tests to give you the baseline, and then literally every single week you'd go back in, you'd have more bloods, you had multiple scans throughout your treatment, and again, it's just to help them monitor, I
had to have bloods before every chemo, didn't I?
Yes.
2 days before, I had to go in, get bloods that were done urgently, so they could give me the chemo. So I was having bloods done, not just every other week, but I had to go in 2 days before chemo or the day before chemo to get them done. Mm-hmm. So it was that constant all the time.
I mean, your chemo was 2 weekly, wasn't it? So it was every 2 weeks. But throughout those 2 weeks, so you're in for chemo every 2 weeks. That's 4 or 5 hours usually, sometimes even longer.
Especially with my big line.
Yeah. And you also. We were up to the hospital regularly for blood tests and various other things. We were literally at the hospital pretty much every other day, weren't we, for various different things. And we'll get into some of the challenges we had around that and parking and blue badges and everything else when we get a little bit further into the story. But, as far as the immediate, you had all these tests, we were doing everything. And obviously we started the fertility treatment, and that was going well. And then we had a decision to make, didn't we, regarding the wedding?
Yeah, because they told us we originally had a book to date for the 23rd of March.
2024. Yeah.
And it was after my birthday, so you can never forget the anniversary.
Yeah.
But that was a date we'd booked. We booked our vendors. Everything was booked. We didn't hang around. We were pretty quick.
So everything was booked. We literally had the photographer, we had the cake, we had all the decorations, the venue, literally everything. So obviously, when we went to the initial meetings and we had the couple of follow-up meetings, the Macmillan nurse obviously explained that due to infection risk, Shannon couldn't work because she works in a school. So she wasn't able to go to work. And then I always remember she turned to me and said, "And what do you do?" And I went, "Well, currently I'm a national account manager for a medical gases company. So I go into probably 30 different hospitals over the space of a couple of weeks and then basically do the same again." And she went, "Not anymore, you don't. Have you got capability to work from home?" And, given their dues, the company I was with at the time.
Again, Craig, love you.
Craig, yeah, we absolutely love you, Craig. They were very good and I was able to work from home and
6 months.
Yeah, Teams and everything. I mean, we actually joked, didn't we, that 6 months at home together, we were either going to be the strongest couple at the end of it or we were going to be divorced.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean...
You spoiled it now.
So, getting back to the wedding. So like we said, everything was booked.
He's really spoiled it.
So everything was booked. Everything was done 23rd of March 2024. And basically they turned around and said, "Look, you can't get married then because obviously with the chemo, the infection risk of being around that many people.
If I got an infection and I couldn't shift it, I could die. Yeah. Throughout the chemo, I got infections and I had to be admitted. So having a wedding
was just
whilst on chemo was it was towards the end of what chemo would have been. But still, the risk was way too high.
And I mean, we even discussed and we said, "Well, look, what if we just had the wedding with, mum and dad, brothers, sisters?" And they were like, "No, pretty much anyone above you two, it's too much of a risk." Yeah. So we had a decision to make, and I turned around and said to you, "Okay,
what do you want to do?
What do you want to do?"
And I said, "Well, we'll have to push it back, won't we? But I don't want that because I knew that I was going to change. I was going to change not just myself, but physically to look at. I knew that I was going to lose my hair. I knew that I would look very different after chemo. And I say to this day, and everyone tells me, "Oh, he'd love you anyway." I don't care. I wanted Joe to marry the girl that he fell in love with.
Yeah. So I turned around and went, "Well, in that case then, look, how's the registry office in 3 weeks sound?"
Yeah, okay.
So we rang the registry office, had a chat with them. We'd already done, again, because this is how organised we were, we'd already done all of our premarital stuff with the meetings and everything else. So we had
our notice, didn't we?
Yeah, so we had our notice of marriage, so that was all good. We rang the registry office and they were like, "Yeah, we can get you in a couple of weeks' time." We were looking at doing, they have a sort of set.
Yeah, I remember emailing them and saying, "Look, this is the situation." And the books had actually closed that month. And I said, "Look, this is the situation. What can you do for us?" Yeah. And they said, "We have this available on the 28th of October. Do you want to come in and get married?"
And we were like, "Yep, cool, let's book it." So they were like, "Right, we're going to need to check because they said we've got no registrars available." So we left it with them and they came back to us and said, "Yeah, I've found 2 registrars that are happy to do it." So I was like, "Right, cool. It is what it is." So that was all booked in. We were like, "Right, registry office, 28th of October. So I then had the thing to make of, right, now I need to ring all of our vendors and cancel. So the first thing I wanted to do, obviously with it being the most expensive, was ring our wedding venue.
Yeah.
So I rang the wedding venue. I spoke with our wedding coordinator. I explained what was going on. And she said, "Okay, well, what are you looking to do?" I said, "Well, we've basically got the registry office booked for the 28th of October. And she went, "Oh, give me a minute." She goes away and she comes back and she goes, "Why don't you get married here on the 28th of October? And we were like,
"Leave your date."
"What?" And they were like, "Yeah, we've got some things that we can move around and you could get married here on the 28th of October. And we were like, "Surely not." So
and that's the sort of time of year that some people celebrate Christmas, and things like that a bit earlier than Christmas.
Yeah.
And having a Saturday that close to Christmas being available was
a Saturday, 6 weeks before Christmas, prime pie season. And they were like,
"Come
come get married here. So we were like,
Okay.
yeah, because obviously at this point we'd already paid all of, majority of the money. We only had a small balance left to pay. They reworked what we were doing because we were like, well, look,
It was supposed to be half the room, wasn't it? And then they
Yeah.
were like, look, circumstances, people are going to want to come, aren't they?
Yeah.
So they opened it up to the whole room, didn't charge any extra.
yeah, didn't charge us any extra, and I mean they were absolutely fantastic. We'll give them a shout out. It's Sedgwick Hall in Northampton, absolutely brilliant. Helen and Becca, they were phenomenal. They really made the day special.
Honestly, they really did.
But so they turned around and went, yeah, we can make it happen. So we were like, right, okay. So I rang every single one of our vendors. We're talking photographer, we're talking makeup, we're talking hair, we're literally talking everything. And every single one, apart from we had a photo booth booked.
Which
obviously we spoke to them and they said, look, really sorry, we're booked. And we said, no, that's fine. We can go without a photo booth.
But they did give us a deposit back.
They did, yes. They were very, very good.
Nice.
I would give them a shout out, but again, I can't remember what they were called, but they were very, very good with us. But yeah, literally every single one of our vendors were like, yeah, we can make that work. Yeah. So we were like, holy shit, we're getting married in 3 weeks.
Coming together.
And just to top it off, we're actually going to get the wedding or as close to our original wedding as what we planned.
We dreamed.
So, it was absolutely amazing. And
not all our family as well.
Yeah.
That many people 3 weeks away. I think by the time we'd got everything booked and sorted, when all the invitations out, it was 3 weeks away. And we still had to get out chairs at the wedding. And that's how everyone made time. Everyone stopped what they were doing and said, 100% I'm coming.
Yeah.
What do you mean? I'll be there.
Yeah. And it was phenomenal. And we were like, we cannot believe that even in this time where it's probably one of the darkest times of both of our lives, we were able to have that celebration. So, like Shannon said, we went into overdrive. And, I think looking back on it, we both said this at the time, but looking back on it, I think the fact that we had a wedding to organise, it stopped us worrying so much about what was coming next. And, we got everything planned. We had it all booked. I mean, our vendors were all fantastic. We got money off and people had done stuff for free.
We didn't ask.
Yeah, we didn't ask. We just said, look.
It was given. And we said, no, it's fine. And I said, look, it's not very often that we come across these sort of stories. And if we could make your day better in any way possible, then we can. We will.
Yeah. And it was even down to, like the candle arrangements on the table. Sedgwick gave us them for free. And
I can't remember what they called it. There was something where a bride before who I think had cancer had donated basically all her table pieces and said, feel free to rent these out, etc. But please, to people that you feel deserve them, provide them for free. And I cannot remember for the life of me the lady's name, which I wish I'd researched before this. I want to say Sarah.
I was going to say Sharon.
Sarah.
So
I'm going to say Sarah.
Something with an S.
Yeah. Something with an S.
So, yeah.
And, and that's how we managed to get all the vases with the water and the candles. And,
Yeah. And it really
was very lucky. It was very special.
But yeah, so obviously, we were in overdrive. We had all these other appointments going in, bloods and scans and various other things. And obviously the wedding coming up. And it really was taking it out of you, wasn't it? And, there was a few trips to the Ebb. Now, for those that don't know, the Ebb.
Emergency.
I know. How dare you question me?
That bloody place.
I went to that place enough bloody times. I know what it's called.
I went just as many.
So there's a place called the Ebb, EAB. So it's an emergency assessment bay, and it is specifically for cancer patients.
Yeah, it's right next to haematology, which is brilliant.
And oncology, which was next door.
And also the ward that it's attached to is a cancer ward.
Yeah.
So honestly, best place for it.
And essentially, once you had your diagnosis, either prior to treatment, during treatment, after treatment for a period, you have an open door access to the Ebb. So you would call them up and you would basically say, this is what's going on. These are what's happening, the symptoms, whatever it may be. And they will then triage you over the phone. And then they'll say, right, we want you to come down or whatever it may be. And, they have access to a lot of treatments and various different bits that you wouldn't get.
You get consultants bedside within minutes, hours, you blood tests are done as soon as you get there. You get you know, anything, they put on a drip straight away just to hydrate you to make sure that you're okay. Like you get top class treatment there, which, you know, when you've got cancer,
It's what you
it's what you need.
Yeah. So it was about a week and a half before the wedding, wasn't it? And obviously, you know, we'd had a very busy couple of weeks trying to get all this sorted and like I said, all the scans and everything. And, you know, you took quite ill, didn't you? You know,
I had lost a lot of weight by then.
Yeah.
I was very weak. I had turned a shade of green. And I don't mean that, you know, I mean the fact that my skin was green. I was so gaunt in the face, my skin was almost see-through. It was bad. It was really bad.
Yeah.
And they admitted me then, didn't they?
Yeah. So we, you know, I think if I remember rightly, I actually called the ebb. You
Which
were like,
happened quite a lot,
Yeah.
so I refused to call them.
You were like, no, I'm fine. I was like, no, I'm calling them. So I called the ebb and they were like, yeah, get her here, like now. So we got down to the ebb, and like you said, they had a little look at you and they were like, yeah, we need to admit you. So they admitted you to the ward in question, didn't they? So
Get your own room, your own bathroom, everything. It's amazing.
that was the ball bag room, wasn't it?
No, that wasn't the ball bag room.
Oh, was it not? Oh, was that later?
That's later.
Oh, you've got the ball bag room to look forward to.
No, that
So-
wasn't. That was the full like near on like hotel suite that I had.
Oh yes, I remember. Yeah, So you got admitted, and you were in this room, and you know they basically come through to you, and they said, "Look, you're going into organ failure." You know that's kind of the stage we're at.
No one knew this at the time though.
No, they didn't, and they basically said, "Look, you're going into organ failure. We need to start chemo now." And I remember we were like, well, no, we've got the wedding and this and that. Fertility still ongoing and whatnot. And they said, well, look, what we're going to do, we're going to get some antibiotics in you. We're going to get your fluids up. We're going to get your, you know, things under control. And let's see how we go over the next day or two. And I remember the day after, we went in and, you know, they'd basically come around and seen you and said, look, we need to start chemo. You were like adamant, no. And I remember we had a very, very frank conversation with your medical nurse, didn't we? And one of the things that really stood out for me from that conversation,
Never forget,
you know, was exactly this. Shannon said, we have, you know, we need the fertility treatment, you know, we need to collect the eggs, we need to fertilize the eggs. And her words to her was, Shannon, what's the point of freezing your eggs if you're not going to be here to use them? And
word for word, that's exactly what
that
you said, and it broke us.
hit us like a ton of bricks, didn't it?
It's, you know, cancer takes so much from you. And, you know, we hadn't even gone through treatment and it was starting to take from us. And that was one of the first things that it began to take from us, is that opportunity.
Yeah. And we said, okay, well, look, we'll scrap the fertility because, you know, and we had to have that conversation. And it wasn't let's have a
even a conversation.
It wasn't a let's have a think about it. You know, it was kind of like they were like, we need to know now sort of thing.
And we both just looked at each other and said, well, you're completely right.
Yeah.
What's the point?
Yeah. But there was one thing that you weren't going to waver on, and that was marrying me.
Yeah, so a couple of episodes ago, Joe called me a 7 bitch. That still stands. They were asking me and begging me to start chemo that week, and I said, look, do what you can to get me through to the weekend. Let me marry him. I'll even let you have me that Saturday night if you need to.
Yeah.
Just let me marry him as me. As the person that he fell in love with, as the girl with the long black hair. It was red, wasn't it? A week before I dyed it black, because I was like, look, I'm having black hair for my wedding because that is just who I am. And I wanted every part of me not to have anything chemo, cancer related at that wedding. And I was not having it. I was not letting anybody tell me otherwise. Shannon, you're going into organ failure, and if your organs go into failure, you can't have chemo, you will die. Okay, see what you can do. What do you mean, see what you can do, Shannon? I'll see what you can do. I remember at one point, my dad, I've never seen my dad cry. And I still haven't, to put out there. I remember this on-call doctor came in, and I see him now at hematology, and I know he knows who I am. He's a little bit scared of me. And
I'm not surprised.
and I remember my dad saying, like, what can you do? What are you going to do for her? Where are the promises of the steroids? Where are the promises of this? Why is no one doing anything? Look at her. And you weren't there.
No.
And it was just mum and dad in the room with me. And this man just kept cutting off my dad. And my dad said to him, cut me off one more time I'm not going to have problems. And you see where I get it from. And this man said, okay, sir, sorry. And Dad said, she's getting married on Saturday. She might not make it. What are you going to do for her? You're here to help her. And he didn't even finish his speech before he locked himself in the bathroom for a good half an hour to 45 minutes. And I fully believe in there. I could hear him crying. You know, his only daughter has been diagnosed with cancer. She's met the man of her dreams and wants to get married, and she could die before that. Sorry? No. Yeah. That's when they said we will do everything that we can.
Yeah.
And I don't want to even know what they put in my IV.
We don't question what they put in your IV that couple of days. So, you know, we are probably on like the Wednesday at this point, and like Shannon said, we
haven't made the OKs yet.
Yeah.
I've got flowers.
We still had stuff to do.
OKs were at home still. I hadn't done them.
Yeah.
With so much to do.
Yeah. But we made the agreement that basically they would allow you to get married. They'll do what they could in the meantime. They would allow you to get married. There was even talk.
Oh my God.
Depending on how she responded over the following days, there was even talk of essentially you being let out of the ward on a Saturday morning to come and get married, and then you were back in the ward on the Saturday night.
I would have gone back in my wedding dress.
Yeah.
And lay in the bed and be like, okay, I'm happy. Do what you do.
So it was agreed that essentially they were going to try to sort you out, and then basically
try not let me die.
Try not let you die, and then basically.
But we joke about it as like genuinely, I could have died.
Then on the Monday morning, the plan was that you were going to have your PICC line fitted, and then you were going to start chemo on the Wednesday. So we were.
PICC line needed a few days just to sort of stick into it.
So they basically agreed, and again, if I recall correctly, I'm sure they wanted to do the PICC line beforehand, and you said no.
Nope. Why on earth would I want a PICC line on a wedding day? Like, my dress luckily had long sleeves, but still you'd see it through. It was so bulky and horrible. I'm just so glad I said no. Yeah.
So it was agreed that they would allow you to get married.
I was doing it anyway.
PICC line on Monday and the start chemo on the Wednesday. And like we said, we do not question what they pumped into you over those couple of days, because
it could have been chemo for a while.
Yeah, quite possibly.
Smidgen.
Antibiotics, steroids, IV fluids, we were literally hooked up to everything. And then you actually managed to get out because you sort of had perked up and your levels have come back down. And yeah, then
I had a blood transfusion as well.
You did, yes, yeah.
That was weird. Seeing somebody else's blood go into your arm.
Yeah.
No.
Not the one.
It's not.
So yeah, so that happened. You did finally get out. We managed to get all the bouquets and everything made out.
Shout out to Alice.
Yeah.
She made them all. I'm not taking any credit for that.
Yeah.
She sat and she smashed them all out in a day.
Yeah.
And yeah, without her, I wouldn't have had a bouquet really. I had to go to the flower shop and get some in the morning. That's where we were at. So cheers, mate.
So yeah, so everything was ready, and yeah, the only thing that was left to do was get married. So, and I mean, our wedding day was amazing, and like Shannon's already touched on, we didn't know how many people were going to turn up. We'd sent out 50 invitations maybe.
Yeah, but I didn't even specify. I just literally WhatsApped it to everyone.
Yeah,
that's where I was at. I didn't have chance to mail it out to say, oh, RSPV. We didn't have chance for RSPVs. It was, here's the date, here's the wedding, here's a pretty invitation.
Come if you want.
See you there.
That was where we were at.
That was literally it. So...
And, even on the morning of, I remember the wedding coordinator, Helen. Helen.
Terrifying.
Terrifying.
Beautiful.
Broad Irish. Did not give a flying fuck. Bossed dropping everyone around.
C-bombs left, right, and centre.
Yeah, dropping C-bombs, bossing everyone around. Yeah, I know she was.
At the back of my dress, because when you tie the back of it, people will try to tie it and do it. She went, feck. Got underneath it, right by my granny pants, and was tying it with her teeth.
Yeah. And she pulled out all of the stops.
Yes,
absolutely all the stops. Even so much so that I spoke to her on the Friday before the wedding, and basically someone had already booked the bridal suite.
The honeymoon suite.
Because they were just staying there for the weekend. And basically Helen rang me to tell me, and I went, well, look, it is what it is. Just put us wherever. And she went, nah, feck it. Leave it with me. And about 15 minutes later, she rang me back and went, sorted. all sorted. It's free. You're in the honeymoon suite. And I was like, do I even
I'm
want
not
to?
even going to question it.
Yeah. I sort of went, do I even want to know what you had to do to make that happen? And she was like,
No.
probably best you don't ask. And I was like, fair. But yeah, Helen pulled out all the stops. She was fantastic. But yeah, the morning of the wedding, you know, we didn't have a clue who was coming, how many people was coming. And even on the morning of, she said to me, how many are we expected?
Yeah.
And I went, could be 30, could be 100. And she was like,
Great.
cool. Yeah, okay.
It was, I'll put as many chairs as I possibly can out. And
Yeah.
even then, that wasn't enough.
Yeah. You know, we still had chairs that needed to be pulled out. And I remember I got there and, you know, I had all my groomsmen and we went and got ready and we had a couple of drinks and we were just sort of chilling and stuff. And at this point, I was probably on my 8th Southern Comfort.
No, you weren't. You've got to be sober to get married.
Shut up. I was probably on my 8th Southern Comfort and the guests had started to arrive.
I was on my 8th Moresby, so I
yeah,
can't.
exactly. And we were starting to mingle in the bar area and things like that. And, you know, people were turning up and I was like, oh, amazing, you've made it, sort of thing. And then I always remember Helen coming up to me and going, right, Joe, you need to do your pre-wedding interview. And I went, oh, yeah, let me just grab my drink. And she looked at me and went, you've not been drinking, have you? And I was like, maybe.
Nope.
And she was like, you haven't been drinking, have you? I was like, no, I haven't, Helen. She was like, you can have that when you come back down. So went out, had my pre-wedding interview and made sure.
How your nan's surname was spelled for a second.
Yes, I did, yeah, because her surname, my granddad is Polish, so it's quite an unusual surname. Couldn't remember how it's spelled. Had to check his Facebook to see how the surname was spelled. So yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
And yeah, so then they brought me down and you know, we went into the ceremony room and I walked in and there was just people everywhere.
Do you know what? I remember my pre-wedding and they asked for a witness and I didn't know that we were going to have witnesses.
Yeah.
I didn't know that's what you had to do. So, top of my head, who would I think that I want to witness my marriage? Nanny.
Yeah.
I haven't told her that though.
No. So obviously, again, as part of that, I asked my nan because we found out in the morning and I said, well, if you're having your nan, I'll have my nan and then it's fair for everyone. But yeah, I walked into the ceremony room and I just remember there was just people everywhere. All the chairs were full. There was people stood up at the side, either side. I mean, I think we reckon we had about 100 people turn up, didn't we? And, you know, this place was just shocker to the brim. And everyone was laughing and joking. And I remember walking into that room and I felt quite nervous. And the second I walked into that room, it is like something just washed over me. And I was like, we are so loved. And this is such an amazing day that why am I nervous about it? I'm about to marry the woman of my dreams. And we are then going to start our lives together, however that would look.
Yeah, I was going to say.
You know? And yeah, so obviously went to the front, registrars are there, had a chat with them and so on and so forth. And then, yeah, it was just a case of waiting, wasn't it? And as far as you're concerned, you had a great morning, didn't you? You know, all the girls.
The best morning. So we went and got my hair done really early at Secondton's in Northampton. They were absolutely amazing. They were all there super early for us before their actual work time, which was insane. Got everything done for us. Lucas, who does my hair quite often, he was saying, well, I'm doing your hair, duh. And I couldn't have felt more beautiful. Makeup was insane.
Alicia Alicia was phenomenal.
Alicia was phenomenal. So basically, when I told you I was a shade of green, I mean that. The way that I looked on my wedding day, I've never felt more beautiful. And I'm just looking at a picture up there and I got a little bit emotional. And I had my jet black hair back and I had it in a nice little updo. And it would be the last time I could do that for a long time. So that felt special. And I had my makeup done and I felt amazing. And her boyfriend was there taking content videos. And, you know, I was excited to see those later because then by the time I'd seen them, I knew that I'd be having chemo. So I can remember what I looked like on my wedding day. And
even to this day, she still uses.
Oh my gosh, yeah, she still does. Every now and again, I go to Instagram, my face pops up, and I'm like, that's me. And even to this day, like you said, I still go. I say we, me and Harriet. We get my makeup done on my birthday. She came with me and had a little sparkle on her face. And any wedding that I go to, I always ask Alicia if she's available, book in and go with her. Because she always makes me feel the best version of myself. and we just get along so well. So she's very special to us as well, isn't she?
She is, yeah, she is. And I mean, you know, the photographer was there. She got some beautiful shots of Harriet.
And you know what, Shani, if you're watching this, it was your first wedding, and I just want to say you smashed it out the park. I couldn't imagine our photos any other way.
Yeah, so just to go back to that, so Shani, again, absolutely amazing.
Found her on Instagram, didn't
Yeah,
we?
found her on Instagram. She's absolutely amazing. We've had four family photo shoots. We have one yearly. We actually had our yearly one this week just gone.
Yeah.
And, you know, she was absolutely phenomenal. And, you know, we literally went to her when we first booked the wedding for the following March, and we said, look, you know, wedding and this, and she went, yeah.
Okay.
It'll be my first one, but you know, I'll book a course so I know what I need to do and all this. And we were like, look, we love what you do, just we want it natural, we want it to be like that. And so then obviously we rang her and said, change your plan, we're getting married in 3 weeks. How does that sound? And she was like, and we were like, look,
shitting it. She told me the day she was shaking and everything, but if you look at our wedding album, you would never have thought so.
No, exactly.
She got some absolute crackers.
She absolutely smashed it. And you know, we literally just said to her, what we do at our family shoots, do that.
Let's do the same. Catch the candids, catch the poses. I don't care what we look like, just capture it. Because the picture of me halfway, I think it is, and I'm putting a funny face like this at the altar, and she captured that. And I love that picture of me because I looked so unsure of what I was doing, even though I was very sure that I was marrying Joe. But yeah, and even yearly we go back to her with the kids, and the kids are so comfortable around her. They play games and they know who she is, and we get some amazing family photos every single year.
We do.
I'm very sentimental, so I like having them every single year.
Yeah.
And she'll admit it. She's, you know,
we're our favourite clients, aren't we?
Yeah.
But yeah, so Shani was really, she got some great shots and stuff, and then obviously you did your sort of walk to the ceremony room with your dad and the kids and stuff, and then we got married, and a very emotional time. We had Lewis Capaldi playing, didn't we? As our sort of aisle walk.
You know what? I remember up the top of that aisle, I was shaking my legs. I couldn't feel them because I had every single person turn around. They were looking at me, and all I was looking at was you, and you hadn't turned around yet.
I got told not to.
And I know you do. Everyone does at the wedding, and I was just sort of like, Joe, turn around. I need to see you. But that walk down, everyone's staring at you. You're looking around, and you're seeing your parents' best friends of 20 odd years, and you're seeing your cousins and your nan, and it was so emotional. And then the second you turn around and I saw you, I was fine. Yeah, absolutely fine.
And so we tied the knot.
Well, she called me O'Donnell, didn't she?
Finally got married. What?
And then she went, Shannon O'Donnell.
O'Donnell.
And I went, in my wit and being kind of terrified at the same time, I went, O'Donnell. None of them, but there's plenty of O'Connells out there. Yeah. And she was like, oh, I mean O'Connell. And it was really funny. Like, I liked it. I think it was hilarious. I think she was a little bit scared at first, but...
Yeah, she was.
Fine.
Got married, walked back down the aisle. What did we walk around the aisle? Or walked out of the ceremony room to?
Signed, sealed, delivered.
And yours.
Yeah.
So yeah, very cliche, but it is what it is. Yeah. And then we went out, had some drinks with people.
No, we had a bit to ourselves first, didn't we?
We did, yeah.
And I think that was emotional as well. We actually done it.
Yeah. And it was a whirlwind of a day from there. You know, we had some drinks with people. Then we did a sort of bridal entrance they've got a beautiful old wooden sort of arch doorway, haven't they, with all stone on the outside and everything.
We had our pre-wedding shoot there, didn't we?
We did, yes.
Shani.
And what they did was they got everyone to stand outside, and then they had us sort of exit the building essentially. But
we forgot confetti.
We did, yes. So there wasn't confetti, but you know what? They still got some great shots.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, it was lovely.
And we went out, and everyone was amazing. We got some great photos. We got friends, photos with all the friends and family and all of that stuff. And again, just touching back on Helen making this day so special for us. Again, we had arrival drinks, and I think off the top of my head, we'd maybe paid for 50 or 60, and we saw
there was more than that put out, wasn't there?
Oh yeah, but this is what I mean. I looked over the table a few times, and
even left over.
Yeah, there was even drinks left over, and I think she just kept bringing them. And everyone was like, "Oh, amazing!" We had beers, we had prosecco, we had Bucks Fizz or not Bucks Fizz, but mojitos. No, mimosas.
Mimosas. Got their originally.
Got mimosas. And literally everyone was. I spoke to a few people like, yeah, like we had like 4 or 5 drinks.
She kept saying to everyone, "Come on, take more, take more."
And even when we were coming back in, she was saying to people, "All right, take a few drinks, because there was still beers and everything on the table. It was amazing." And then what we decided to do, so obviously again because we didn't know how many people we were going to have, we decided to do a buffet style.
And also, I'm not a sit down meal girl.
No.
I love a wedding, but I've got to admit, when I've got to pick the food, I get a bit worried because I don't know what I'm going to like on the plate.
Yeah.
So we just had pizza and chips.
Yeah. Pizza, chips, wedges, salad. And again, it was a case of, we didn't have just touching back before we get to the food. And obviously, when we went into the room, again, Helen was scrambling, getting extra chairs, and people were moving around the room, and it was just...
Yeah, we had no seating plan,
no, we didn't.
And she was freaking out a little bit, and I was like, I don't really care where anyone sits. If you want to have a table for 15 people and you want to sit together, do it. Wherever you're happy, I don't care.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't care what it's like in photos, that you've got 2 at that table and 10 at that table. I don't care.
And it was great because, obviously we had for family and friends and things, so obviously certain groups sort of like huddled together, but, I actually think that people mingled a lot more because... there was couples that basically were like, right, well, we'll go sit on this random table, with all of your family.
We did preserve 2 tables, didn't we?
We did, yes.
And that was the bridesmaid.
The bridesmaid.
And first family that weren't our parents, just that with us and nannies.
Yeah, so we did all of that. So again, it was a bit of, and then Helen come in and was like, right, food, what are we doing? And I was like, look, just do it table by table. Put the buffet out. Table by table. So obviously we had that, and the amount of people that come up to me and were like, the food was banging,
so good,
pizza, chips, what more do you need, sort of thing. Like it was fantastic. And it was just so chilled, so laid back, and we had the sweet table, and we had donuts and cookies and brownies.
We didn't
everything.
Get a bit of that.
We didn't, no. And we had it just all set up, and people just went up and helped themselves, and it just gave the day such a relaxed feeling. That it wasn't like, right, we need to sit down at this time because, food's served at this time. And
anyone who knows me, I'm categorically always late.
Yeah.
So having a wedding that was timed for me, the only time that I needed to be was down that aisle, and that was it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when it ended, that's all I cared about.
So we had that, had all the food and everything. Everyone was like raving about it. And, then we did speeches and, talks and things like that. And then it was sort of party time, wasn't it? And there was a very funny incident that happened. So on our top table, obviously my family on the right, Shannon's on the left. So we had my dad, then my mum, then me. Oh, sorry, no, I think it was my nanny. Yeah. My nanny, then my dad, then my mum, then me, and then Shannon, and then so on and so forth. And we had a very interesting cake topper, didn't we?
Yeah. Okay. So... Again, anyone who knows me, I swear left, right and centre. I think I'm a bit reserved on the podcast for some reason, but I swear probably every other word, and it's just the way I am. And I ordered the cake topper. I was in charge of the cake topper. Why anyone did that, I don't know, but that's what you get.
You had cancer, we just let you do it.
You still do now.
I do.
Anyway, so Archer, he would have been 7?
No.
Maybe 7 now.
7 now.
6.
No, 5.
No, he just turned 6.
Just turned 6, yeah.
Okay, so a 6-year-old this is. It sounds even worse. He went to Granddad.
So we went and looked at the cake topper.
Yeah. Well, no.
Yeah.
This is my story.
He went to Granddad.
He went to Granddad and he went, Granddad, what does the cake topper say? Now, bear in mind, this boy is very intelligent. He can read.
He knew
exactly what it said. But he wanted someone to say it. And, your dad goes, ask Granny. So then Granny looks up and said, what's that, mate? And he goes, Granny, what does the cake topper say? And Granny just went, ask your dad. Daddy, what does the cake topper say? and he was smirking whilst he was doing
Yeah,
this.
he knew exactly
He knew what he was doing.
But obviously, I'd heard this sort of the chain, so I was like, well, I'm going to carry this on. So I went, that's Shannon.
I looked up and I went, you okay? And he went, Shannon, what does the case officer say? And I went, it says fucking finally. I looked at him and he looked at me and he smiled and I went, I won't lie to you, kid. And he went, okay.
Had a little giggle.
And then he ran off.
Great. It was absolutely brilliant, wasn't it?
Never watched the kid, never.
No, you wouldn't. And so obviously we had all of that, had our food, and then it was party time, wasn't it? And as far as the dance floor was concerned, Harriet was the first one on there, and we had to drag her off at the end.
She was doing
she would have been what, 3 at this point?
Yeah, she was 3. She was doing starfishes on the floor, full on shoes, socks off. No idea where they went. Got her shoes. I don't know where her socks went.
Yeah.
Starfish on the dance floor.
So we then had our first dance.
We did.
And it was again Lewis Capaldi. So we're very, very fond of Lewis. Love the hell out of you.
Do you know what? That song, we cried to that song.
We couldn't listen to it.
Yeah, we couldn't. And it was constant for months leading up to this. And it got to the wedding and we went, how are we going to do this? It's the most emotional song for us. But you know what? Having that many people stare at you whilst you walk around in a circle with a massive dress, it doesn't have the same effect.
No.
We just didn't know what to do. Felt very awkward just walking around in circles. We just didn't cry.
We were sat there, we were giggling, we were chatting to each other, we were laughing and going,
when's this over?
Yeah, when's this over? And, and then everyone joined in and it was beautiful. And
and the kids came to us and danced with the kids.
They did, yeah. And then, we, so first dance and then, disco started. Again,
I think I was on my 8th Red Bull.
Yeah, 8th Red Bull, 2nd bottle of morphine.
Yeah.
And again, Sedgwick had organised DJ and done us a really good deal on that. Again, obviously last minute. Again, a DJ 6 weeks before Christmas, prime party season on a Saturday, right. And they pulled out all the stops. So we then had, we were like, look, we need a moment, don't we? Yeah. So we actually went up to the room, into our honeymoon suite. We were like, we just want 20 minutes just to decompress and,
That's when you showed me you had fancy pants on.
I did, yes. So we'd been in Next the week before.
No, the day of.
No.
Oh.
Finish. So we had both been in Next the week before, and at the time I needed some new pants, and I wasn't sure what to get, and I had scabby, nasty pants that I'd had for years, and we just so happened to be in Next. In fact, it might have been when we were looking for the suits. I think it was. We'd been into Next to look at the suits or something. And we seen these pants, and they're just
jazzy,
standard boxes, but they were jazzy. They had one of them had it was like a 3-pack, and one had pineapples on it, and then the other one had foxes and
they were all different colours. They were really bright and funky, different patterns. And I was like, they're cool. I love them. Can you get these? And you were like, no.
So
picked up a pack of black pants. I was like,
so the morning of the wedding, and I know we're backtracking a little bit here, but the morning of the wedding, I'd gone and picked up my groomsmen, and I went to pick up our nephew Mason, your nephew Mason.
Inherited by you.
Yeah, inherited. Who was 16 at the time?
Yeah.
And we're driving back to Northampton, and I was like, right, I need a pair of pants, and I haven't sorted any, and I don't want scabby pants for my wedding night. So I was like, right.
Not that we consummated anyway.
No, not that we consummated anyway. But I was like, right, I know what I need to do. I need to go get the fancy pants from Next. And so I was like, right, boys, we need to stop at Next. And we were like, okay. So I went into Next. And I was like, you guys can stay in the car. Because obviously, Mason's 16. I was like,
it's his auntie getting married.
It's his auntie getting married. I don't really want to be sort of going fancy pants or whatever. So I goes into Next, buys these pants, and I come back out in the carrier bag. And I put them in, and then I think it was Floody was like, what did you go in for? And I was like, I just needed to grab something. He's like, well, what was it? Could we not? And I was like, and they kept pushing me. And in the end, I was like, I've just went and bought some fancy boxer pants. And they were like, oh, okay. And Mason, I remember looking at him, and I was like, sorry. He was just mortified. So we went up to the room. I showed you my fancy pants.
Yeah.
We just had sort of 20 minutes in the room decompressing and just sort of,
looking around the fancy room.
Yeah, and just kind of getting everything set up and just being like, this is really happening sort of thing.
We're married now.
Yeah, we're married. And, I remember going back down and again, just the pie was just rocking, and
Yeah, it was nuts.
everyone was having such a good time. And if I remember rightly, there was rugby on, and there was a big group of
It was
lads.
Six Nations.
Yeah, I think
No.
I don't think it was
World
Six
Cup.
Nation World Cup. And there's a big group of lads sitting watching the rugby, and
Girls were all like, "You're not having that on, are you?" And I was like, "Yeah,
yeah,
of course I am.
course I
I
am.
don't watch it."
I'm gonna watch it. Yeah, we had the photo booth because we actually managed to find one
Not
again.
selfies.
Yeah, starfish selfies. Shout out to them. They were great. We actually we found them. We went
And went to Milton.
to Milton Keynes one day, and just to do a bit of shopping. And there was just a wedding fair going on in MK Centre, wasn't there?
And again, are you free in 3 weeks? Are you free?
Yeah.
And they're like, we are.
Yeah. And they'd done us a fantastic
did,
deal.
yeah.
And I remember the interaction with her. So we were chatting away to her, and she sort of, we've got like tiers of packages and what you get included in this and that. And, she was like, have you got a budget? And we were like, look, explain the situation. Wasn't expecting a discount, but we were sort of
And
like,
I said, let's go for the top one because why not?
yeah. Yeah. So you actually said, let's go for the top one. Why not? And she went, give me a second. And I think,
Calculator out.
yeah, she gets the calculator out. And I think if I remember rightly, the top package was something like 695 quid. 'Cause once you put wedding in front of something, the price just triples naturally. But and she was sort of like going, how does 300 quid sound? And I literally just turned to Shannon and went,
I went, what? Yeah.
and I literally turned to Shannon and went, pay
Pay the
for it.
lady. And I was like, okay.
So yeah, they done us a really good deal as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, we had
To be
starfish
fair,
selfies.
it was last minute for them, last minute for us.
Yeah.
They didn't have anything on that Saturday night, so it made them something and also
Yeah, so we had
benefited us.
the selfie. They actually had a room set up, didn't they, with the selfie booth, and they had all props and everything.
I remember that night, people kept calling me in there to get pictures. So in the end, I just stayed in there.
Yeah.
And just kept doing rounds of people because every time I left the room, Shannon, come back in here. Okay. So I just stood there for most of the night, to be fair. Quite loved it.
Yeah, it was good fun. And then yeah, like we said, I think most people were there pretty much till the end, weren't they? We had to drag Harriet off the dance floor at like 10, half 10 because my parents were leaving, and they were like, we tried to get her off the dance floor and she is not
Not
moving.
that.
So no. And I think at one point she was actually lying on the dance floor, so I literally got her feet and dragged
Well, she could have
her
started
off.
watching.
Yeah, while she was starting, I literally grabbed her feet and dragged her off the dance floor.
She found that hilarious, to be fair. Though she was more like to go.
So yeah, we did all of that, and then yeah, we went down. We had a last dance, didn't we?
So on that floor till the very last minute, and I knew that's what I wanted to do. I bet everyone looked at me like, I thought she really with cancer.
Yeah.
Like, what's she doing? She's been absolutely fine the whole time. Yeah. Because you don't want to know how many bottles I totaled in the end, or how many bottles of morphine that I totaled that day. That it probably verging on an overdose. But you know what? I made it through the day.
Yeah.
And that's all I
That was
wanted
the
to
main
do.
thing. You were there. Literally, the DJ went, this is going to be the last song, and we were like, we need to dance to this. We danced to that, and then we said goodbyes.
That's when my uncle reappeared, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Yeah.
He went home an hour before.
And then just suddenly
reappeared. And we were like, wait, what? You left an hour ago. I put you in a taxi. I put you in Dad's car an hour ago. And he was like, yeah.
We were like,
do you know what? I'm not going to question it.
Yeah. So said goodbye to everyone. It was a really good day, really emotional. And then I always remember this was a brilliant touch from Helen and the team. Because like Shannon said, we didn't get any of the donuts and the cakes and everything else, and we didn't even get any wedding cake, and we went up to the room. She said goodnight to us. We went up to the room, and on our bed was a plate.
A pile.
And we're talking a pile of cake, of our wedding cake, cling filmed with a little note saying, enjoy your cake. So we sat in bed.
And we ate that cake.
And we watched American Dad.
You did.
Because it was on ITV. And
asleep.
Then we fell asleep.
No. Then you fell asleep.
I fell asleep. Yes.
And I sat there looking for our wedding albums on my own.
Yes.
Because someone was snoring, because I think 25 to the comfort, if not more.
Oh, easy.
Easy.
I've done 8 before
once
the
you got up
ceremony.
and had the cake, it finally hit you and you were snoring. I was just like, right, nice one, mate.
Yeah.
Good night.
So,
I mean, there was no way anything was going to happen that night anyway.
no, definitely not.
I
Definitely
think
not.
I actually would have died.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was that night.
Yeah.
And the next morning I remember waking up and we had some time. Normally it was out by 10 or 11, But she was like, stay till 1. And we were like,
I
okay.
think we stayed till like 4 in the end, didn't we?
By the time we packed up and everything.
Yeah.
But we sat there and we sat in the little living room of the honeymoon suite, opening all our cards, which was lovely. It was an amazing distraction because I think there was an underlying tone of both of us knowing that the wedding was over and we're about to leave and we knew what's coming next.
Yeah, there was. And I think we literally spent the majority of that day just sitting, going through the cards, going through the photo albums, going through, because Starfish Selfies actually had a book made, didn't they?
Yeah, so they every photo that someone took on the mirror, they printed 2. And they had a book there which they stuck it in for you, and then you got the chance to write next to it. Yeah. So everyone who had a picture got to take one home and have one printed in the book, which was nice for us to look at.
Yeah. So we sat.
I just set them out before because you were.
So we sat there. We went through all of our cards. Went through all of our presents.
Oh, and a USB. You got a USB as well.
We did, yeah. All the cards, all the presents. We went through. We went down and had nice breakfasts. There's a few people that stayed, so we went down and had a nice breakfast for people, didn't we? We had some lunch there, and yeah, just spent the day in the room. And like you said, I think, we were meant to be out by 11, and Helen had come up and said 1. So I'd started sort of after we'd had lunch and that. I'd started sort of packing up a few bits and sort of taking them to the car. And then I just so happened to bump into Helen, and I said, oh, well, we're just getting packed up. And she was like, we've got no one in there, just however long you want. And I think
she knew as well that we wanted to prolong it as much as possible.
Because I think we both said the same, didn't we? When we left Sedgebrook, we knew what was next. So we definitely
made the world real, didn't it? Once we left the venue, we left that little bubble of Sedgebrook Hall. We knew what was coming the next day.
Yeah, exactly. And it was an amazing day. And I remember when we did finally leave, we headed home. And
we were all packing up, and we sat there eating the flying saucers.
Yeah, you were eating the full fire saucers, weren't you?
Yeah.
And we got all packed up, and we headed home, and we got home, and we unloaded the car. Well, I say unloaded, we got the main bits out, didn't we? And then
perishables.
Yeah, all the perishable stuff. And then we were like, right, let's go get into bed. And we went and got into bed, and we ordered a Domino's, didn't we?
No discount codes, no deals, just sort of fuck it.
Yeah. And we spent 50 quid on that Domino's. And we got sides, we got desserts, we got drinks, we got pizzas, we got everything. So we were like, yeah. And so that was that. And then the realization really sort of settled in, didn't it? That tomorrow
shit's gonna get real.
So I think what we'll do is we'll end this episode there.
Yeah, I'm about to cry.
So I think we'll end that episode there. We're up to the point now where we're about to start.
I've changed massively after that.
We're about to start treatment. We're about to start that journey. And yeah, I think that's a good time to call it there. So as I said in the beginning of the episode, guys, we are going to be getting ahead of recording. So hopefully we won't have any long periods without episodes. So obviously we do appreciate all the support that we've had over the last few weeks, and the patience of waiting for a new episode to come out. But yeah, just wanted to say thanks for joining us. Hope you've enjoyed today's episode. If you did, please feel free to share, follow, like, subscribe, all of the social things.
You have to like and subscribe now.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, just want to say again, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace. Okay, cool.